You hear me? Live, no joke.
Mothers,
you hear me? No joke. Big clips, you hear me? And we always save one for the feds. Always save one in the head for the feds. Always gotta save one for the feds. Always remember, you gotta save one for the feds. You never know. You hear me?
Gangs are willing to go to extreme lengths to protect their fellow members.
I don't think it's just us being corrupt. Like, I used to sell to a barrister, so a regular customer. I was one of my good customers. I liked him.
I've seen a load of violence. I've seen gunshots. When I was here with the Gaza, feds running up on here all the time.
What's up, guys? We're back with a new episode of Sunday Sofa Politics.
Today we are talking about the recently aired Channel 5 documentary, Gangland.
Channel 5 gained exclusive access to the ins and outs of some of London's gangs and their drug dealing operations.
They got some of the gang members to film themselves in their everyday lives and gave millions of viewers an insight into a darker side of London that many of us aren't used to.
The documentary is a two-part special, with the first episode called Turf Wars and the second episode called Murder.
Turf Wars is a very detailed and very graphic account of what happens in Gangland. In my opinion, it kind of glamorizes the lifestyle, except the part where we are shown a technique called plugging, where drug dealers shove drugs up their anus.
Murder was more toned down. They had more interviews with the families and showed the effects of gangs on the communities, from the deaths that happened and people losing their friends and mothers losing their children.
Just how raw, like, the whole imagery was and the way that it was set up as a documentary. It was just, I wasn't expecting it to be like that. Obviously I'd seen the trailer, but I was expecting more, instead of just purely the problems of the situation that we have at hand with different gangs and different, personnel in the region and different things that are going on in London at the moment. I thought they'd give a more positive view of what other people are trying to do in the community.
It made me feel how empty these guys were. So they kept referring to their, members and their friends as family. And since they, lack, let's say, a father figure, in my opinion, which most of them do, they kind of want to replace that void with, all the fancy lifestyle that, these elders probably showed them. So I just realized how empty these guys were, and the extent that they went to replace the emptiness with, a gang, and how they just saw it as family.
The producer of Gangland said the reason that he did the documentary was to tell the world what the boys are really like. He said, "You would read about these deaths in the Evening Standards, but you would never know anything about these kids. I wanted to get behind that and find out who they really are, and to let people across the country know who they are."
The purpose was to show, the incline in probably crime, in gangs, and especially amongst the youth most of all.
To say that this documentary shows who they really are, in my opinion, is not true. Because who these boys really are is who they are when they're at home with their family, when they're with their friends, when they're laughing, when they're joking, not when they're holding big machine guns, not when they're carrying knives. And the fact is, only in the second documentary do you find out why they carry knives, why they don't feel safe, because they don't feel like they can walk out in the streets and go to different areas. It's not because they actually want to be doing these things. It glamorizes a lifestyle. And in the first part of the documentary, it shows this boy called Geordie, and Geordie is basically living up the life. It's showing little boys in the blocks that, rah, Geordie's got this money, yeah? Let me be able to do the same things, and it glamorizes the lifestyle. I don't believe that is who those boys are, whether they're carrying knives, whether they're carrying guns. Yeah, it's become their identity, but showing them what would have been a better documentary is showing them how they maybe weren't doing as well in school, how maybe the estate was failing them, how maybe they didn't feel like they were protected by the police, and maybe that's why they turned to this, not just showing them bringing out guns and having knives in their hands. That's ridiculous.
Similar to what Anne-Marie said, it's not right the way they structured this whole documentary. They should have brought the effects on the community before even talking about what happens on the streets. Make matters worse, we all know that there's a problem. We all know that there's a problem of guns. We all know there's a problem of drugs. We know there's a problem of education. We know that there's a problem. This documentary done nothing but glamorize the issues that are happening in the community. Where was the solution? Where was the petition going to the government to let them invest more in urban areas? Why do they go spend money on Trident and spending money on pointless things and raising tuition fees? All of these things, it just makes people think they don't want to go into education. They just want to make money. They want to get rich quick scheme, which is people like Geordie, who makes 2,200 a day or whatever it was. And in the second episode, when they show the mum crying and they show Shoki and M-Dot when they died, it's showing you the problems, but it's not showing no solution. People like Terroll Lewis, who was talking about opportunity and how these young kids don't have opportunities that they have in private schools and public schools and in other areas of the country. Or Big Nasty, how he's talking about how in normal state schools you don't get to play rugby whenever you want, you don't get to go to swimming, you don't get those small classes and the little focus groups. You're left, you do your lessons, you go out. These kids have nothing. Youth clubs are being shut down. There's nowhere for them to go, so what do? They go, they chill on the block.
And at the end of the day, it's not just the government, it's not just the police that are to blame, it's not just the local area that they grew up in. It's the fact that we as a community, we in London have failed to protect these boys. At the end of the day, we are not providing opportunities. And loads of people that have come out of this life, they're so focused on not going back into their life to help these little boys, to be mentors and stuff. That's why they are so failing.
What we're trying to say is that these kids have no role models. Those who make it in the community leave. And do you know what? One good thing in that whole documentary that I really liked was when M-Dot or Shoki died and they showed that whole community come together and they done them the lanterns that went up to the sky. That showed unity in the community, and that's something that we need to understand.
It's just sad to me that after this whole Black Lives Matter movement happened in the UK to show solidarity with America, and this documentary came out and it's basically just showing black boys killing each other and being happy that they're killing each other. So it sends a message like, why should people stop killing you when you're killing each other? And it just undermines everything, and it's just really sad to me.
For me, I think it's gonna make the hole even deeper, because especially the part when the guy was like, he's making 2,200 a day. I was there on my phone and I kind of calculated it, and he's making like 70k a month. And boy oh boy, for like a 13-year-old, 70k a month, and all the pictures that they kind of flashed here and there just made it seem like, yeah, this is a lifestyle that people would want. And for me, I think it made it even more lucrative.
It's just going to widen the gap between the youth and those of the general public, and how they think about those who are not living in more deprived areas than themselves.
Now the opinions are out the way, we can give you some straight up facts about the gangs in London.
According to MPS Intelligence, there are 225 gangs in London. These gangs have about 3,600 members and they're mostly aged 13 to 24.
Gangs are involved in a wide range of activities, ranging from organised criminal networks involving Class A drugs and firearms to street-based gangs involving violent crimes, personal robbery and sex trade.
Although there are approximately only 3,600 people involved in gangs compared to the over 8 million people in London, this relatively small number is responsible for approximately 17% of serious violence and stabbings, 7% of personal robbery, 40% of shootings, and 12% of aggravated burglary.
The statistics aren't looking good for the City of London, as violent crimes jumped to 27% in new figures released by the Office of National Statistics. And in the year to April 2016, there were 9,000 knife crimes in the capital, with 866 teenagers stabbed and 291 seriously injured.
The number of murders in England and Wales went up by 14% in the year to September, and the number of attempted murders went up by 19%, while knife crimes rose by 9% and firearms by 4%.
The murder rate in England and Wales has risen sharply in the last decade. New figures show that the number of murders and manslaughter deaths has increased by 14% last year, bringing the annual total to 574 deaths, or 11 deaths a week.
So guys, just to wrap up, as Speak Out Generation, we just fully believe in finding solutions and being part of the solution rather than egging on the problem. We don't believe that highlighting the problems instead of finding the solutions is the way that the documentary should have went. We as a society, we as London should come up with ways to help these boys with the underlying issues, whether it be in their community, their schools, the youth clubs. Like, let's just help them and find solutions. So if you have any solutions about what we can do, what we can even suggest, maybe like start a petition to the government about what we can do to help these specific areas in London, put it in the comment section below, and also tell us what you thought about Gangland if you've watched it, and if you haven't, go watch it on Channel 5 or Now 5 or whatever it is.
Like, share, subscribe, and promote unity in the community.
That rhymed.
Boom, boom, boom.
And we'll see you in 2 weeks, guys.
Yeah.